Hey guys, Cyber Aquarius here bringing you another video. This video is different than any video I've made in the past. Normally I'm behind the camera making videos of my aquarium or talking about products and equipment. But I wanted to get a little bit more personal with this video. A few weeks ago, J.W. Heiser 1302 was hosting a contest where he asked us to talk about the aquarium hobby as if we're trying to throw a sales pitch to somebody who doesn't know anything about the hobby. And I thought it was a great concept. I made a video, but unfortunately the contest was canceled and I was never able to upload my video. So that's what this video is about. We'll be talking about the aquarium hobby, and we'll give you a little bit of a past history on me, and then we'll talk about the hobby in general. Well, I've been keeping aquariums for the past 32 years. I've maintained at least one aquarium during that time, sometimes many more. I remember the first time I ever saw an aquarium, I was fascinated at watching the fish interact with their environment and interact with one another. I was hooked for life, so I purchased my first aquarium at the age of 10 years old back in 1981. I didn't know anything about the nitrogen cycle, water chemistry, or species compatibility. But slowly but surely, from reading books and magazines and talking to employees and managers of my local fish store, I slowly caught on and I stayed with it, stayed with the hobby. I took a job when I was 16 years old with a local fish store and worked there for some time, and then I became the manager of another local fish store in the Metro Atlanta area, and I worked there until I enlisted into the United States Air Force in 1990. And even when I was in the Air Force, I maintained an aquarium the whole time I was in my dorm room. My first aquarium was a 125-gallon Central and South American cichlid aquarium, and everybody in the dorms used to call me the fish guy. But I got out of the Air Force in 1995. I took a job with Marineland as a sales rep, and back in '95 there were advances being made on many fronts in the hobby. The first advancement, Marineland launched a full-scale campaign to educate the consumer about the nitrogen cycle and basically what it took to keep aquarium fish alive. Their new product, the BioWheel, saved a lot of would-be aquarists from making the same mistakes that I did when I was young, and it caused prices to come down all across the industry because manufacturers of other types of filtration devices were facing themselves in competition with a hang-on-the-back power filter that was able to maintain a saltwater aquarium or an African cichlid aquarium or any kind of aquarium in general. So that caused prices of the other manufacturers to drop. And also advances were made in the aquatic garden aspect of the hobby. Takashio Amano, his Nature Aquarium World book, was translated in English and found its way here to the United States. And at that time, more and more aquarists were getting into the planet aspect of the hobby. And myself, I was one of them too. I set up a 125-gallon fully planted discus aquarium. I got into the reef hobby. I had a 75-gallon reef aquarium. And over the next several years, I just learned more and more, reading all that I could, meeting people. But I took a different job because I had a child and had to stay close to home. But I've always maintained at least one aquarium, and which leads me to where I'm at today. I have one aquarium, 150-gallon behind me, but I'll be doing this for the rest of my life. My plans are to get other aquariums, possibly a larger one or smaller ones, but I'll get back in the reef aspect of the hobby, planet aspect of the hobby, Central and South Americans, everything. I mean, you got to change it up to keep it interesting. But talking about the hobby in general, in all my years, I've never met a person that hates an aquarium. Everybody that sees an aquarium, no matter what walk of life they come from, just can't help but look at it and be fascinated. And keeping an aquarium isn't the most difficult thing in the world, but I'm not going to say it's easy, because like anything in this life, it takes some effort to really get the most out of it. I mean, if you just come in your aquarium room once a day, throw some food in the tank, neglect your fish, neglect filter maintenance and water changes, your aquarium's going to start having some problems. You're going to start seeing nuisance algae, fish disease, and those are usually the people that badmouth the hobby, saying fish are hard to keep. They're not hard to keep as long as you follow some simple guidelines. Keep up with your water changes, do your water tests, testing pH, alkalinity, ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate, making sure that nothing gets out of control. Species compatibility. I mean, you wouldn't want to throw a dove iciclid in with some neon tetras. I mean, there's all that stuff you'll have to learn and read about and learn on your own. But my best advice is to read all that you can and to start with the largest aquarium that you can afford and practically fit within the space in your home, because the larger aquariums provide for a more stable environment. Think of it like a test. If you have a 10-question test and you miss 5 questions on that test, you're going to get a 50, and that's failing. But if you have a 100-question test and you miss 5 questions, you're still going to get a 95. I mean, I know it's kind of a bad analogy, but the same thing goes with aquariums. A 10-gallon aquarium is not as stable an environment as a 100-gallon aquarium. I know everybody can't afford a 100-gallon aquarium or don't have the room for it. All I'm saying is to go as large as you possibly can within reason. And also buy the best type of equipment that you can afford the first time. Don't skimp on equipment, especially if you're keeping plants or corals. Don't buy cheap lighting or cheap filtration devices. The same with fish only. I mean, don't buy a filter that's not going to keep up with the bio load of your aquarium. And so many advances have been made over the past 15 years that our hobby has gotten a lot easier because of the different types of media, the different components available to us today. I encourage everybody to start making use of denitrification media. You have Brightwell Aquatics Export NO3, you have Seachem's Matrix, and my personal favorite, Pond Matrix. That's something we didn't have in the past. Nitrates continue to build up in the aquarium, and that's why we continue to do our water changes. This aquarium behind me, I was at 0 parts per million nitrates about 3 weeks ago before I added 6 large cichlids, because I'm using the Seachem's Pond Matrix. My nitrates went back up to 20 parts per million. Did a test yesterday, they're back down to 5 parts per million. And I only do a 25% water change once a week. So those of you out there know it's impossible to go from 20 parts per million down to 5 parts per million by doing a 25% water change alone. So I encourage everybody to make use of that. The lighting today, advances in lighting have brought us to T5s, energy efficient fluorescent T5s, which are brighter than before, and LED lighting. There's so many different types of LED lighting on the market. They provide for stronger light, higher lumens for less wattage. They use less energy and have a longer lifespan. The fixture behind me here is an LED, and it's rated for 50,000 hours. So it should last me over the next 8 to 10 years. Filtration components have come a long way. And like I said, media, you have UV sterilizers, which are more affordable today than they ever have been. We have refugiums, and just so many different things that you can use to really provide for the most stable aquatic environment that you can dream up. But if you're looking for some information, YouTube is a valuable asset that we have today. There are so many people on YouTube that you can send a private message to and ask them, how they maintain their aquarium, or you can just watch their video and learn what types of equipment they're using, what type of species they have, and what species are compatible with one another, what type of lighting they have to provide for their plants or their corals. And like I said, this community, we can help one another. You can send messages to one another, and I ask that nobody hate on other avenues of the hobby. That's not what this is about. And if you don't have anything good to say about somebody else's aquarium, just don't say anything. I know not too long ago I had a guy asking me questions about what type of rock are you using, what type of substrate are you using, what type of media, and then a week later he sends me some hate mail. So I'm not going to call anybody out, but that's not what this is about. Slamming each other, talking bad about each other. It's about growing our community, helping one another, and learning from one another. Well guys, I appreciate you watching this video. If you're considering keeping an aquarium, just tune into YouTube, look at a lot of the great videos on here, and you won't have to make the same mistakes that I did when I was young. Hope everybody has fun with this hobby. Appreciate everybody's time watching. This is Cyber Aquarius saying thanks a lot and have a good day.